So I spent no money on this DIY bow holder. I had all of the materials at home, but you could find these materials at Dollar Tree. The canvases, you could just paint over the canvases and use those, and they have the ribbon and twine and such. Okay, so this is just some wood that I found as leftover projects from my husband, and this palette, I ended up deciding to keep it this color because it's kind of rustic, and the plan is to put the painted clothespins across for headbands, and I'm going to connect these and put her initial, maybe her full initials, and then ribbons hanging down for the clip bows. So first we're just going to sand it. Luckily for me, both sides have already been sanded from a previous project. I'm just going to sand the edges that are, oh, that one's smooth. This one is rough. So next step is just to paint this the pink color. Like I said, we're going to leave this one the rustic, and we're going to paint the clothespins pink as well. So I decided I wanted this part to look a little rustic, so I'm going to paint some of the edges gray, and then once I paint over it with the pink, I'm going to sand it down a little so you can see the gray popping through. And I added some white to this to make it just a little bit more light colored, a more blush color. Okay, so here I've painted the edges gray. I had to make my own gray with black and white. Getting crafty. And we're gonna let that dry and then paint the clothespins the blush. So we're just gonna line up the clothespins to kind of figure out how many you want on there, how spaced out. Depends on how many headbands your little darling has. Get one more. I think maybe we can. Yeah, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 will work. Shows a lot of headbands. Just gonna paint them up with that blush pink. They're all painted. I didn't paint the backs, just the sides, front, and the little end piece there. Okay, so I put this right in front of an AC unit, and it is pretty much dry, so we're gonna paint it with that pink. Okay, so I've painted it, the sides too, and you can see that gray popping through, which is awesome because it looks a little more rustic. Finger in the camera, sorry. But we still will like sand a little bit of it down, just a little bit, to make it like tie in with this rusticness. And I'm actually gonna take the paintbrush and kind of put in a little pink, and then we're just gonna sand it down. We're just gonna put some color in there, and that's all. Just little pops, just so it kind of ties in all together, but we're still keeping that rustic and that gray in the back. And then we're just gonna sand it down a bit. I'm gonna let it dry just a little bit in those bigger spots. And I'll show you. This is just what it looks like once I've sanded it. And now we're just waiting for that other piece to dry. Alright, so this one's pretty much dry. Just gonna sand it down a little bit to get it, the sheen off of it and that gray popping through. Alright, so I've sanded it off a little bit. As you can see, it looks a little more rustic next to this. But I'm gonna take the gray, kind of dab it off a little bit, and just come in. I went down to the wood there. Just gonna dry brush it on gently. On this part, just, be sure to get the edges, places where, like, paint would, like, normally chip, and just kind of bring in those pops of gray once you've sanded it down to make it look a little more natural. So that's how it looks after I added the extra bits of gray, sanded it down to look a little more rustic, or like it was chipping off a little. And now we're going to set this to the side, and we're going to start hot gluing these. And yes, it's on my couch. It's okay, because this couch is old. So now you're just going to place the clothespins where they should go, and then we're going to take the hot glue gun, glue down the backs of each one's in place. Now they're all glued down. So I'm just gonna draw or paint a pretty cursive S for my daughter's first initial. That's only, I have a Cricut, but I'm trying to make this like an easy, cheap DIY. Not everybody has the Cricut, so I'm just gonna paint it. You could use like Dollar Tree letters and like paint over them and then peel the paint off and have it exposed. But I'm just gonna freehand a pretty S. Okay, so here's my freehanded S up against the headband holder. Next, we're going to add the strings to hold the clip-ons, the attachments, and the hanging part. And I may add like a little twine bow somewhere. Not sure where yet. These are the ones I chose for the hanging part. This is like a lace sort of in a pink. This is from Dollar Tree. And this one, I believe it's from like Hobby Lobby or Walmart. Still cheap. Sometimes I see this type at Dollar Tree. So I decided to double up. So it's like the lace on top of the pink. And then we're just going to hot glue this to the back. And I decided to do 4. And I'm going to hot glue them between the last 2 spaces between the clothespins. And I'm going to actually use a little E6000 just because they are holding bows. I'm pretty sure hot glue could hold it, but just in case. And this was only like $2-3 at Dollar General. And we're going to use the hot glue as well because this takes a long time to dry. So the hot glue will just keep it in place. And this we're going to use most definitely to connect the 2 pieces and the hanger part because it will be kind of heavy. So a must for that part, not for this part. So here we've just glued them each to the back. And now it's time to attach the 2 pieces and the hanger. Okay, so I've just attached these 2 with the pink here. And just, make sure you use the E6000 because this is wood being held up by ribbon. So, hopefully it will hold it. It should, because E6000 is very strong. But, I may even put like a hook on the back of this just to like hold it up some. And now we're just gonna attach the hanger. So here I've just attached the lace hanger with the E6000 and hot glue. So I'm gonna let that dry a little before I pick it up and check it out. And here's the finished product, guys. I hung it in my daughter's room. As you can tell, I added that little twine bow in the middle, and I added an extra row of ribbon. So there's 5 rows of ribbon now. It just didn't look right before. But yeah, I just love this. I'm gonna obviously be adding way more bows and way more headbands. And I believe if you were to do a Dollar Tree DIY, you could accomplish this for less than $10. And if you had all of like the paint and the glue and such, it could definitely be accomplished for like $5. I love this, and I can't wait to, you know, get her whole room the same and matching with the little bow holder. So I ended up having to put the pink ribbon to hold it together because the lace it didn't hold the glue well enough to keep it up, and then I glued the lace on top for decorative measures, but made sure to use the E6000 on the pink on the back. So far it has held up and I love it. I can't wait to get rid of this wallpaper. It's even worse up there. But yeah, eventually it'll match her room decor. It kind of actually matches the wallpaper, but that wallpaper's a no.